from this day, I still owe a nice honeymoon, because the honeymoon when we got married was South Africa, and she was delighted. She didn't realize that it was it was the World Cup.
Roberto, thank you so much for your time today.
Pleasure, Kelly.
Let's start with football. Why football?
For me, it's a way of living. I was born in a family that it was breathing football. My dad was mad about football. My dad was a coach at that time, a local team. I would be the mascot, and I got pictures where probably at the age of 2 and 3, wow. I would be listening to the team talks, and I would be in that environment of the dressing room. So that for me was a safe zone. I thought that all the kids did that. I thought that was the normal thing to do, and then I realized that it was the opposite. Not many kids had the opportunity to be in a team talk of the local team.
Was that local team then your first proper team that you played for?
Yes, on the 9s. I remember obviously you play in school. In Spain we got this futsal. As a young student, you play with your futsal team in the school on Friday, and then on Saturday you play with a football team.
Was there a point where you thought, okay, I could make this? When you were looking around maybe at the other kids and thought, I'm at a good level here? At 16, if you want to play football, you have to go into a more professional standard. I got the opportunity to go to Zaragoza. I moved to the big city, Zaragoza, you study there, and then you see the parents coming to watch the game at the weekend. Was almost a ritual. When you look back on your career, which club do you feel was where you had your most success when you look back on, or you enjoyed the most? I enjoyed them all. They were all different, they were all challenging. I think I was in '95 when the Bosman ruling came out. We were the first 3 Spaniards to come to the UK. The 3 amigos, weren't you? The 3 amigos, yes. And I think that's probably, in my career, is I think as a human being, we're always fearful, or we don't like change. I was always the opposite. My answer would be, why not? Would you like to go to the UK without speaking a word of English and play football? So you couldn't speak any English when you came over? No, wow. No. We arrived the first day at Wigan, and I remember the press officer saying, would you mind to do a little bit, a couple of words with the local media? I said, I would love to, but I don't speak a word of English. And those are the challenges that they make you as a person. Let's talk just quickly about that FA Cup final, because that's still one of the greatest shocks, one of the greatest FA Cup finals in history. True. How do you reflect upon that all these years later? With a lot of pride. The dreams can really happen in the FA Cup. And I think that game in a final, you play in the champions of England, Man City, with all the stars. The odds are against the underdog. I think everybody likes an underdog. I always found out that we had so many neutral fans that day that you want to follow that's what happens in the FA Cup. But to actually perform and deserve to win was very special. At what point did you think management is for me? Was it always management? Always. Always, really? Yeah, because... From even when you were a really young player? Yeah, because my dad was managing. I thought that was the best... Did you almost envisage being a manager before a player because of your dad? Yes, wow. Yes, because I never saw my dad play. And it was fascinating because obviously by coming to the UK in '95, straight away they tell you there is no I in team. You have to adjust to the group and you have to do whatever it takes to be with the group. The reality doesn't work like that, it's the opposite. You have to address the I before you can create a team. And sometimes you were in the corner of a room thinking, completely different culture, different background, and you expected to perform without having a help to be settled, to feel that you are valuable. And there are many aspects that I learned from my own experience of being away from home, and without me knowing it, that was preparing me for that side that you need to get of how to get a team to be together, to have the same goal and to be able to perform on the pitch. Other than your dad, who's had the biggest influence on Roberto Martinez, the manager? I was intrigued by Johan Cruyff, the way he managed Barcelona. He came in, he changed completely the way that the game was played, and I think many people in the last 100 years they influence the game, but I don't think nobody has influenced the game the way that Johan Cruyff did it, because it changed. It was more a technical game, it was a possession-based game, it was about a numerical advantage, and then you created the ones that they didn't follow that way of football. They had to find a way to counter play that styles.
And then I followed many other managers. I think what John Toshak did when he went to Real Sociedad and then went to Real Madrid. I love Pacho Maturana, what he did with the Colombian team. Arrigo Sacchi is just structured and rigorous and methodic. I always enjoyed how managers get their message across to the players and in a different way, all of them.
Have you ever had an opportunity to go and watch any of those managers? Like we've spoken to Andoni Iraola, Brendan Rodgers this year, and they talked about managers that they went and kind of learnt from. Have you had anyone like that, any mentors or anything?
I was just watching games. I think I like to watch a game and I try to double guess. How did that happen? How did you take the risk to get to the player to understand what you're trying to work? I never went to see anybody work, but I followed many World Cups. When I started managing in the Premier League in 2009. Every summer with my wife, I would invite her over to go to South Africa first, and then Poland, and then Brazil, and then France. Our holidays were following the big tournaments.
So she thought she was going on a lovely exotic holiday, but she was actually going to a tournament.
I think the first time, yeah. The first time.
Then she cottoned on.
And then she knew, because obviously I still owe her, from this day, I still owe her a nice honeymoon, because the honeymoon when we got married was South Africa, and she was delighted. She didn't realize that it was the World Cup.
You've obviously seen management from both sides as well, in terms of club management and international management. How do the two differ?
Coaching in the Premier League is about tomorrow, and it was about preparing the game that is in front of you, preparing the players that they can make a difference in winning the game. International football is about trying to find out the best talent and then to make it in a structured way to make it competitive. And you got 3 days to do that. That's very different to do it in a club level. Everything is more tactically synchronized. Everything can be more methodic. International football is about creating good mood, creating a sense of pride, creating high performance teams that they follow in their dreams, because when you represent your national team, affects your family, the neighbors. If you win, the whole country wins. When you lose, the whole country loses. It's a completely different way of enjoying the game. I was fascinated about being involved in a World Cup. That was one of my dreams as a kid. I think we all follow the first World Cup that I remember, 78, Argentina, Mario Kempes scoring in the final. Then 82 was in Spain, so it was a big impact. So for me, the move to international football was just to experience a World Cup. Then I enjoyed it so much that I stayed almost 10 seasons now.
Let's discuss your time with Belgium, because what an incredible group of players you had there, the golden generation, they said. What challenges did that job bring with it, and what did you get from that period?
Well, first and foremost was to cope with that tag of golden generation.
Pressure.
Because it wasn't a pressure that the players were not used to it, because obviously you're talking about the players that they are in the most demanding dressing rooms, talking from Eden Hazard to Kevin De Bruyne, Dries Mertens, Romelu Lukaku, Axel Witsel, Vertonghen, Vermaelen, Kompany, Thibaut Courtois, Yannick Carrasco. You're talking about the generation. But I think we managed to focus on, okay, let's be as good as we can together, and let's become the golden generation. I think that was a beautiful journey to go to the World Cup in 2018. I thought we were, obviously, out of 7 games, we won 6. We only lost the semi-final against France, 1-0. There were little margins that it happens, but then we became third by winning the bronze medal in the last game. That is the moment that it became the golden generation. At that moment, it was a shift into what we could do from that point on. And that team stayed 4 years consecutively as #1 ranking. And that was a very interesting time to try to get a focus of everybody having that common goal, that it was try to make history for Belgian football, and it was really, really enjoyable.
Now, I always ask in these interviews for my interviewee to tell me a game from their career, playing or managerial, that they wish they could relive.
I think if I could relive a game, would be the semi-final with Belgium against France. because we lost 1-0. I felt we were the better team. We had almost 60% possession, and it was just decided by one action, 1-0. And if it is one game that I could relive to try to change it would be that one.
Do you think about it a lot, or are you able to just park it now?
No, sometimes I like to think about it. If we were going to play it again with the same situation, what could have been done different? And that helps. I think the margins are so small. You got the best players possible of 2 generations, and I think you can learn from having already the experience of being in a game like that.
And you've not got a bad crop of players now at Portugal, have you? You've already won the Nations League, and what an opportunity potentially ahead for you. The pressure's going to be there again.
But it's an enjoyable pressure, because it is true, we arrived obviously in Portugal, huge tradition, always created big players through the history. Now that we celebrated the moment that Eusebio won the Ballon d'Or in 1965, you got players like Luis Figo, João Pinto, Rui Costa. It's a tradition in Portugal, but they won everything apart from the World Cup. We got an incredible commitment from the players, because this is probably a mixture of 4 generations. You got from the captain that is 40 years old to the youngest player that he arrived, that he was born the year that the captain made the debut for the national team. So we're looking forward. The first step is qualify. We did that, and I always believe that there has never been a winning team that arrives to the tournament. The winning team becomes the winning team in the tournament.
That captain, of course, is Cristiano Ronaldo. What's it like managing him?
Very easy, because his high standards, his expectations of how the work should be done, and his commitment to the game. It truly is an example of what you should do to represent Portugal and the national team. And now he's adapted, obviously, after 21 years career in the national team. He's adjusted, he's a goal scorer, he's an important player for us. And it's the player that he is now that is important for me as a national team coach. A player that has scored 25 goals in the last 30 international games is not that he's playing because of what he's done in the past, is what he's done now.
The question everyone's asking at the moment is, how long can he go on for? As someone that's seen him close up, how long do you think he can keep playing for?
Well, we got all the stats. If you were going to analyse a player that is dropping at physical level, that's not the case. His physical stats are of a player that he could go on and on and on. I think it's more a question of when he'll feel that is the right time. I think he's a player that is very autocritical with himself. When he doesn't see that he can help the team, he'll be the one that he'll decide when to stop.
You've got 2 girls, and you're married to a Scottish lady,
yes,
is that correct?
Absolutely.
And is that from your time in Scotland?
In Motherwell, yeah, that was the best thing.
So that must be quite the culture kind of mix at home.
Especially when you are the national team coach of Portugal playing against Scotland. I think it's been 4 times now that we played with Belgium against Scotland. Obviously, with my wife, it's not a problem. It's more the in-laws. It's difficult for them to support a team that is different than Scotland. But no, that's part of the fun. I'm very, very lucky, and probably that's the biggest achievement that I want to have in my life is to be the best father that I can be and the best husband that I can be. Everything else is going to be just part of the journey.
Tell me something about yourself that might surprise me.
I've never tasted alcohol.
Not one drop?
Never.
Impressive.
Never. Yeah, and it was a promise when I was 16 and I had the opportunity to go to Zaragoza. I went to my dad. I said, I really want to go. And he said, what do you think? He said, well, it's the worst thing you could do, because you're very young, 16, you're going to be away from home, and the first thing you're going to do is start drinking, start smoking, you're going to give up your studies. And I said, well, I promise you, I'll do my degree, I'll never drink, and I'll never smoke. And then since that day, that was my commitment. So I'm 52 now, and I'm proud to say that I never touch a drop of alcohol.
If you were to win the World Cup next summer, would you marry?
Probably, yeah. I think I would be quite happy to do another commitment, yes.